Exposed, the touching tale of a black maid who saved a billionaire. Hidden courage in court. Clara lived in two worlds and walked the line between them each day, a tightrope of struggle and purpose. Before dawn cracked the sky, she brewed coffee as the sun fought to rise, a daily ritual that fueled her through early mornings in the lavish estate of Mr. Thompson. His riches towered over her life like skyscrapers, yet she cleaned those very halls with the determination forged from her mother's lessons. Strength and dignity are born from enduring the toughest storms. Every room held secrets. As Clara dusted the shelves filled with fine art and expensive decor, she whispered to her daughter, Maya, who still dreamed of flying to distant lands, of being more than what their modest neighborhood suggested. "Work hard, my love. That's how we reach our dreams." She poured her heart into those words, wrapping them around her little girl like a cozy blanket. And in her small world, with community potlucks that filled the air with laughter and camaraderie, she often felt the warmth of shared struggles, a comfort in knowing they all fought similar battles, but a storm loomed. Whispers of discrimination against Mr. Thompson rumbled through the town, fracturing friendships and igniting heated debates. Clara's heart ached. She had always revered the man for his generosity, yet lines were drawn, and suddenly her loyalty clashed with a sense of justice deeper than her own fears. One night, after finishing dishes at the Thompson estate, she'd overheard a conversation about manipulating evidence, a high-powered attorney working to erase the truth. Clara's heart raced as she braced against the cold tile floor, her chest tight with conflicting emotions. This wasn't just about her employer, this could affect her community, the very people she shared potluck dinners with. Her thoughts spiraled as she sat at the town meeting that night, the air thick with tension. Friends turned to ghosts, their faces etched with worry and judgment. Clara felt their eyes on her, gauging her every thought. "What would my mother do?" she whispered to herself. The patter of hope in her heart pushed her to listen closely to the grievances rising around her. Would her silence suggest complicity? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. It all came to a head in the courtroom, a place where hopes would either soar or crash. Clara stood there, a solitary figure among suits and ties, her hands clammy against the rough paper of the folder holding her heart's truth. She opened her mouth, daring to speak, to expose the cloud of privilege and prejudice that hung over Mr. Thompson. His gaze met hers, a clash of worlds at a pivotal moment. Clara found herself driven by a fierce vision, not just for her dreams, but for every single person who faced discrimination and injustice, sitting uncomfortably in their seats, watching. Would she conquer her fears and hold the great billionaire accountable? Or would she feel her voice drown beneath the weight of a system that promised justice but often failed its promise? The tension was palpable as she took a deep breath, ready to unleash the storm of words that could change everything. Would the truth light the way out of this darkness, or would it lead to yet another heart-wrenching end? Clara's heart raced as she steadied her breath. The room seemed to close in, a cacophony of conflicting feelings swirling inside her. The lawyer stood with impressive confidence, and Mr. Thompson wore an air of stoic indifference. But Clara saw through it. Behind that surface lay a man who might not be as untouchable as he seemed. I have evidence," she stammered, her voice trembling yet steadily rising in volume. Murmurs erupted throughout the courtroom, rippling through the seated audience like a wave. Clara's fingers fumbled with the folder, the pages trembling as if they were the very embodiment of her anxiety. The judge's gavel slammed down, silencing the room. "Miss James, proceed," he said. Clara met his gaze, searching for understanding and support. She took another breath, grasping the paper like a lifeline. "Your Honor, I've witnessed things that cannot be ignored." Her voice sliced through the room, fueled by determination as she recalled the late-night conversations she'd overheard. "In this moment, I refuse to remain silent. I refuse to be complicit. We all know the role of privilege and power in this case and who it benefits. The crowd leaned in, some with eyes wide, others squinting, contemplating her words. She felt an electric pull in that moment, everyone wanting to hear the truth, even if it was uncomfortable. It was then that she sensed a flicker of hope spark in her chest, igniting flames of courage she thought long extinguished. I recall a conversation regarding evidence that was meant to be buried. She thrust the folder into the air, each word punctuated by the pounding of her heart. This isn't just about Mr. Thompson's fate. It's about our community who deserves better. It's about justice for us all. The lawyer for Thompson shot up, questions spilling from his lips like venom. Are you saying you have proof that would implicate Mr. Thompson? You're just a maid. Your words bear no weight in this courtroom. The dismissal stung, but it only steeled Clara's resolve. I am more than my title, she declared. I am a mother, a daughter, a member of this community. I carry the hopes of so many who can't speak. If I don't stand up now, when will I? A hush fell over the room, and Clara's voice was suddenly the only sound. The judge cleared his throat, breaking the silence. You seem earnest, Miss James. But you realize the weight of what you're claiming? There are serious consequences to these accusations. Clara nodded, the enormity of her words sinking in like stones in her stomach. But she couldn't turn back now. Yes, Your Honor. But I'd rather face the consequences than live in fear and let injustice prevail. A weight seemed to lift from her shoulders. The truth held freedom, and for the first time, Clara felt unshackled. It wasn't just about exposing the truth in court, it was about exposing herself, her heart on display for everyone to see. From the back of the courtroom, Maya stood, clutching a drawing she'd made of the world she wished to see, one filled with peace, equality, and love. Clara's heart soared. Fight for your dreams, she had told her. Show them who you are. As the judge leaned forward, Clara could almost hear the echo of her mother's voice, encouraging her to embrace her strength. The moment had come, the truth ready to unfurl like wings. Clara took a deep breath, ready to dive deeper into the storm. Just as she was about to lay it all on the table, the doors to the courtroom swung open, a sudden commotion echoing through the hall. Who could be interrupting now? The room turned, anticipation hanging heavy in the air. Was it a friend, an enemy, or a stranger with the power to change everything? Clara's heart thudded as she faced whatever awaited her beyond those doors. The doors swung wide, revealing a figure clad in a dark overcoat. The cold breeze whispered in, unsettling the warmth Clara had just kindled within herself. Everyone's eyes fixed on this newcomer, a tall man with striking features and an intensity that filled the room. Clara's heart raced at the sight of him, both familiar and foreign. Wait. Please. He shouted, his voice breaking through the anxious murmurs of the crowd. The judge raised an eyebrow, confused by the unexpected interruption. Who are you? The judge demanded, and the tension in the courtroom thickened. Taking a step inside, the man cleared his throat. My name is Daniel Brooks. I represent the Foundation for Ethical Accountability. The room buzzed with silent questions. Ethical accountability? Clara echoed, feeling a flicker of hope ignite once more. What does that have to do with this case? Daniel took another step forward, confidence radiating from him. It has everything to do with it. I received a message claiming vital information about Mr. Thompson's dealings, information that could shed light on the accusations being leveled today. I couldn't remain silent. Clara's breath caught in her throat. Could it be true? Was this man bringing the very proof she needed? Her heart surged with encouragement mixed with an undertone of fear. What if this was just another twist in a tale tangled with deception? Your Honor, Daniel continued, addressing the judge, I must present this information now. His voice was steady, and Clara could see the resolve in his eyes. The judge hesitated but then nodded. If it's pertinent, then proceed. Without missing a beat, Daniel pulled a stack of papers from his briefcase and approached the front. Clara watched every movement, her pulse quickening as he laid out the documents. "I've been investigating Mr. Thompson for quite some time now. Over the past months, I've uncovered irregularities tied to his business ventures." He glanced around the courtroom, meeting the eyes of the jurors, the audience, and, finally, Clara. "What Miss James has said isn't just a statement, it's a fight against a system that has turned a blind eye for too long." Gasps ran through the crowd as murmurs escalated, rippling like water disturbed by a stone. Clara's thoughts raced. If what he said was true, it could change everything. But in the back of her mind, doubt whispered hesitations. She couldn't ignore how that deep-seated cynicism had followed her through the years, always lurking just out of sight. Daniel continued, his voice unwavering. "The evidence shows that Thompson has been exploiting vulnerable communities, manipulating systems for personal gain. We've got records, transactions, everything you need to discover the truth behind his facade." Clara felt new strength building inside her, a force ready to push through the barriers of doubt. This was it. This was the moment she had fought for. "You have proof?" Clara asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "More than you could imagine," Daniel replied. "And I want to share it with you all, for the sake of justice and the truth." What echoed in her mind was not just liberation, but the faces of those who depended on her courage. The sanctuary she'd built for Maya needed to stand strong. Clara lifted her chin, ready to meet the court's gaze again, but as Daniel prepared to share the evidence, a new voice rang out. Mr. Thompson had finally spoken. "This is absurd," he interrupted, a sneer pulling at his lips. "You think you can destroy everything I've built, with mere accusations?" The courtroom held its breath. Clara felt the weight shift, her heart a mix of anticipation and dread. Was Daniel really going to expose the truth? "Then let us see who's built on lies," Daniel countered, readying the evidence to expose the tyrant that had loomed over Clara's life for far too long. With the stakes higher than ever, Clara braced herself. This could either dismantle Thompson's empire or mark the end of her fight. What would be revealed next, and would the truth be enough to set them free? Daniel took a deep breath, his fingers trembling slightly as he shuffled through the documents. Clara's heart raced. What would he reveal? The atmosphere in the courtroom was electric, every person hanging on his next words. "Your Honor, I would like to present the first piece of evidence." Daniel highlighted a specific document, a detailed transaction record that linked Thompson to illegal activities. This record shows how Thompson's company received funding from sources that exploit the very communities Clara aims to protect. The judge squinted at the papers, processing the gravity of the claims. Whispers erupted from the crowd. Clara could barely breathe. Could this be the proof she needed? "We have witnesses ready to testify, as well," Daniel added, seizing the opportunity. "This isn't just about numbers, these are people's lives." They were pushed aside while Thompson climbed the corporate ladder. With every word he spoke, Clara felt her resolve strengthening. This was what she had fought for, a voice against the power that had sought to silence her. But even as hope surged, fear lurked in the shadows. What if the evidence wasn't enough? What if Thompson had a way to discredit it all? "Objection!" Thompson roared suddenly, his voice echoing through the courtroom like a clap of thunder. "This is baseless slander. You're all being manipulated by unfounded allegations." His demeanor was frantic, desperation leaking through his carefully curated facade. Clara could see sweat glistening on his forehead, the faint tremor of his hands. Perhaps he felt the walls closing in. Was this the beginning of his unraveling? "Your Honor," Daniel said, undeterred, "these documents speak for themselves. Thompson has built an empire on the backs of the vulnerable and the oppressed. It's time to bring the truth to light." The judge nodded, ready to give his ruling on the objection. Clara felt every heartbeat echo in her ears as a pivotal moment danced before her. Would they uphold the truth? Would they see past the intimidation? Enough. The judge finally declared, looking intently at Thompson. Let us allow Mr. Brooks to share his evidence without interruption. This court seeks justice, and we will see it through. A wave of relief washed over Clara, but it was quickly followed by the weight of her worries. Would the evidence be compelling enough? Would the jury understand the depth of Thompson's treachery? Daniel began revealing the second piece of evidence, a series of communications between Thompson and various officials, links that intertwined their corrupt practices. Clara's hope swelled again as she realized Daniel was exposing not just Thompson but a whole network of complicity. Maybe, just maybe, justice was within reach. She glanced at the jurors, watching their faces for signs of understanding. The weight of their decisions hung heavy in the air. Each of them needed to see how the exploitation impacted real lives. As the evidence continued to unfold, Clara felt a surge of determination. This was more than just a trial, it was a chance to redefine everything they had fought for, and then, in a shocking twist, Clara's phone buzzed in her pocket, cutting through the tension like a knife. She glared at the screen, her heart dropping. It was a text from Maya. Clara, I need you. Please come home now. Every instinct screamed for her to leave. But the trial, this fight, felt equally urgent. As Daniel pressed onward with the evidence, Clara stood torn between her responsibilities. Was she ready to step away and protect what she had built at the sanctuary? Or should she stay, risking it all for a fight that could change lives? The split-second decisions weighed heavily on her mind. Fate had two paths laid out before her, and she wasn't sure which one to take. Would she emerge with newfound strength, or would the ties to her past pull her back into the shadows? As she stood at this crossroads, the air in the courtroom thickened with anticipation. What would she choose? Clara's heart raced, the weight of Maya's words pressing down on her. She felt the heat of the courtroom, every gaze sharp, every ear tuned to Daniel's rising passion. But her mind was a whirlwind, drawn back to the sanctuary, to the vulnerable souls she had promised to protect. Just as Daniel revealed the next piece of evidence, a photograph showing Thompson with local officials, a direct link to the corruption, Clara's phone buzzed again. A second message from Maya. They're coming for us, Clara. Please. The urgency was palpable in those words. Clara glanced back at Daniel, who was pouring every ounce of conviction into his argument. The turmoil within her grew. The sanctuary was her heart, her purpose. Yet here, Daniel stood ready to expose the very corruption that threatened everything she believed in. Your Honor, these exchanges prove that Thompson was not acting alone. His reach extends to the highest levels of government, Daniel declared, his voice steady, each syllable laced with hope. Clara couldn't help but lean in, desperate to catch each critical point. Justice was so close, yet her heart was tethered elsewhere. Clara noticed the jurors leaning forward, their expressions shifting from skepticism to intrigue. They were finally seeing the truth unfold. But still, she felt the tug of her past life. Maya and the children needed her now. Every moment in the courtroom felt like a precious second slipping away from those who depended on her. Let's take a 10-minute recess, the judge announced, breaking the tension like a sudden storm. The air shifted, and whispers ignited as the jurors stood, stretching and murmuring among themselves. Clara seized the opportunity, her mind made up. She had to know what was happening back at the sanctuary. Clara. Daniel's voice called, pulling her from her thoughts. She turned, his brow furrowed in concern. Where are you going? We're just getting started here. I have to check on something, she replied, though the words felt hollow in her throat. The choice loomed larger than her. Maya needs me. Stay and fight. This could change everything for those kids you care about, Daniel urged, a mix of frustration and urgency in his voice. You can't just abandon us now. I'm not abandoning you. Clara clenched her fists. But there are real lives at stake. I have to protect them. Daniel's eyes narrowed, weighing her words. For a fleeting moment, Clara saw the frustration crack, replaced by a flicker of understanding. Then go. But please, be careful. This fight he glanced over to Thompson, who was animatedly speaking with his lawyers. It's bigger than just this courtroom. Taking one last look at the evidence Daniel had laid bare, Clara felt a rush of hope against the fear that threatened to consume her. She nodded, heart pounding, and turned to leave. Each step felt like she was pulling away from the future, but she couldn't live with the doubt weighing heavily on those she loved. As she rushed outside into the cool air, her phone chimed again, a picture of Maya, anxious yet hopeful. Suddenly, an uneasy feeling settled in her gut. What was happening? The fight in the courtroom continued. Daniel was rallying towards something monumental. Could he expose Thompson for the monster he was without her? Clara took a deep breath. She had to know what awaited her, not just for herself but for everyone counting on her. There was a tremor in the air, a whisper echoing through her mind. Would she be able to return in time to ensure that the truth saw the light? Or would she find herself in a battle even greater than she expected? The door swung shut behind her, the weight of uncertainty now fully upon her as she raced toward the sanctuary where another fight awaited. Clara sprinted down the steps of the courthouse, her heart pounding in her chest like a drum echoing her urgency. Outside, the sun was a bright, harsh light, sharp against the coolness of her rising panic. She fought through the swarm of thoughts crowding her mind, trying to focus on the most pressing question: what was happening at the sanctuary? The streets blurred past her as she ran. Each car that zoomed by felt like it was mocking her haste, trapping her in an endless maze. As she thought of Maya, her fierce determination, the way she had handled so many crises with grace and strength. Clara called up memories of the children's laughter, their innocence shining against the backdrop of the world that often neglected them. They needed her now more than ever. As she turned a corner, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a video. Maya's face filled the screen, panic flickering in her eyes. Clara. You have to hurry. I don't know how long we can keep them out, Maya gasped, her voice trembling. Clara felt her stomach drop. Keep who out? She whispered to herself, unable to comprehend the weight of the threat. She pressed play again, absorbing every detail: the messy kitchen, the scattered toys in the hallway. It felt like home, but right now it was under siege. Clara. Maya cried, please. They're here. I don't know what to do. No, 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 Clara muttered, her feet moving faster. She had known this would come, but she had hoped for more time. She had to protect them. She had to protect everything they built together. Reaching the sanctuary, breathless and desperate, she threw open the door, her heart racing with fear. The sanctuary was dim, the air thick with tension. Maya stood there in the living room, a fiery spirit defying the mounting dread as she faced a group of men in dark suits, their expressions cold and unfazed. Clara, Maya called out, relief flooding her face, but it quickly turned to worry. They're demanding information about the Foundation's funding. They think we're hiding something. Get the kids, Clara instructed, her voice steady even as her heart raced. We need to protect them first. But the men stepped closer, their posture rigid, each movement deliberate, aiming to intimidate. And you are? One asked, sneering down at Clara. I'm the one who makes sure these kids have a home, Clara shot back, resolve hardening in her voice. You're not welcome here. One of the men smirked, as if her words were nothing more than a child's tantrum. We're here to collect information. This sanctuary is a liability, and we suggest you comply. Clara's mind surged with countless stories of injustices faced by those less fortunate. She couldn't let her fears drown her. This sanctuary is a safe haven, not just for the kids, but for the truth you're trying to hide. You can't intimidate us, she declared, but doubt flared in her heart. Alone, she felt vulnerable. What if they didn't back down? What if their threats were more than just words? Maya moved closer to Clara, a fierce look in her eyes. We'll stand together. We've overcome worse, right? The men exchanged glances, sensing the unity that flickered like a flame between the two women. Just then, footsteps echoed from outside, sending a ripple of anxiety through the room. Clara's heart skipped. Is that backup? She wondered. Hope mixed with trepidation. Who would come for them? With every moment ticking away, Clara realized the fight before her was not just a struggle for the sanctuary. It was a fight for freedom, truth, and the lives of these children, and just as the door swung open, everything changed. Who would step through that door? Clara braced for whatever came next, uncertainty flooding her with both fear and resolve. Would it be a friend or foe? The answer loomed ahead, carrying the weight of her future. In the heat of the moment, she felt the ground shift beneath her feet. What was waiting on the other side could change everything. The door creaked open slowly, and Clara's breath caught in her throat. Time seemed to stop as she squinted, searching the shadows for a familiar face. The sunlight framed the figure standing there, creating an almost angelic silhouette. Then she saw him, Daniel, her old mentor from the foundation. He had graying hair now, but that wise smile still held the same warmth. Relief crashed over her like a wave. "Clara!" he called, stepping in quickly and surveying the tense scene. "What is happening?" "They're trying to intimidate us," Clara replied, her voice shaking slightly. "They think we're hiding something about funding. They want to tear this place down." She gestured towards the men in suits, their expressions shifting from disbelief to concern as they sized up Daniel. "Step aside," Daniel ordered, his tone leaving no room for argument. He moved to stand between Clara and the men. "Why don't you tell me what you're looking for?" The lead man scoffed. "We have questions, old man. You can't just walk in here and think you can help them." Daniel's demeanor shifted instantly. "You underestimate the power of this sanctuary. We've helped hundreds of children, given them hope and a future when no one else would," he stated, his voice calm but firm. "You better think carefully about what you're doing." Silenced by the unexpected confidence of their opponent, the men shared uncertain glances. In that moment, Clara felt a flicker of hope blossom within her. With Daniel by their side, maybe they could defend their home. Maya edged closer, clutching Clara's arm. "What if they don't back down?" she whispered, fear lurking in her eyes. "They will," Clara said, more to convince herself than Maya. "They have to." The tension in the room thickened as Daniel continued to stand his ground. "This sanctuary is not a liability. It is a beacon of light for those seeking refuge. Perhaps you should reconsider your position. You, of all people, should know that destroying hope will only lead to darkness." The lead man's bravado wavered slightly. The echo of conviction in Daniel's voice was undeniable, a challenge they hadn't expected. Then, Clara's heart raced again, but this time, it was from excitement. Daniel's words ignited a spark within her. If they could rally together, she thought, if they could stand as one, maybe they really could fight back. But just as she reveled in this newfound determination, the men shifted again, moving closer, their confidence returning. "Let us make this simple," one of them sneered. "We'll be back. And next time, you won't have your little friend here." "Enough," Daniel said, his voice low but full of authority. "You can try to intimidate, but we won't be broken. This isn't just a sanctuary. It's a lifeline." With that, the men turned, their retreat punctuated by their own unwillingness to back down completely. As they exited, Clara felt her shoulders relax at least for the moment. Clara turned to Daniel, tears welling in her eyes. "Thank you. I don't know what we would have done without you." He smiled softly, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Together, we will find a way." Maya cut in, her voice tinged with worry. "But what if they come back with more people? What if they try to shut us down for good?" Clara considered this reality, the weight of their struggles settling back onto her shoulders. The battle was far from over, and now they had a target on their backs. "Then we'll be ready," Clara vowed, her voice steady. "We'll gather everyone. We'll fight for our home." But just as hope ignited, Clara's phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen, and her stomach knotted. It was a text from one of the staff at the sanctuary. "We're under threat from elsewhere. Can't hold them off much longer." A chill ran through her. More threats. The storm was far from over. Clara stood straighter, her heart racing again. We need to act, now. Would they manage to safeguard the sanctuary, or was this just the beginning of their fight? Clara felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. One crisis wasn't enough, now there was another threat looming over them. She took a breath, trying to steady herself. Panic was a luxury they couldn't afford right now. "Everyone!" Clara called, her voice ringing with urgency. "We need a meeting. Right now." The children, her second family, looked up from their activities, confusion crossing their faces. From the corner, Maya whispered fiercely, "Clara, we can't scare them more than they already are." But Clara shook her head firmly. "We can't hide inside these walls. If we don't face this together, we'll lose everything." Daniel nodded, his presence grounding her. Maya's right to be cautious, but Clara is right too. Fear grows in the shadows. What's important now is transparency. As the kids gathered around, Clara looked into their eager and worried faces. She so desperately wanted to protect them, shield them from all the terrible things life had thrown at them. Yet she knew keeping them in the dark would do more harm than good. "Okay, let us be straightforward. We just had a visit from some men in suits," she began, glancing at Daniel for support. "They've threatened to tear this place down if we don't comply with their demands." And she hesitated, swallowing hard. "Something else is happening elsewhere too. I need you all to keep your eyes and ears open." For a moment, silence hung in the air, thick and heavy with uncertainty. Then, one of the older boys, Marcus, spoke up. "What can we do? We can't just let them take our home." Clara felt encouragement bloom at his words. "Exactly. We can do something. We'll organize." Maya stood beside her, her voice shaking but determined. "How about a rally? We could get the whole community involved, show them how much the sanctuary means to us." A mixture of excitement and apprehension buzzed through the air. Each child began offering ideas, building a spark of energy and camaraderie. Clara's heart swelled with pride. This was what they needed: unity. And just as Clara began to feel that they might actually have a chance, her phone buzzed again. A name popped up on the screen, and her pulse quickened. It was someone she hadn't heard from in years: her estranged father. Clara had emotions bombarding her at once. Anger, confusion, and something deeper, an echo of longing. She hesitated before answering, scanning the room filled with children's hopeful chatter, basking in their determination. "Clara?" He sounded different on the phone, older and wearier, but that was her dad. "I've heard about what's happening. I want to help." Bitter memories clawed at her. He had walked away, left her once. What could he possibly offer now? "Why should I trust you?" She shot back, feeling anger rise. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness," he said, voice quavering. "But your sanctuary, it's more important than pride. I've got resources. Please, let me show you I can make a difference." Clara clenched her fist around the phone. Could she let him back in, just like that? She wanted to believe him, but doubt wormed its way into her mind. The sanctuary was everything, and she couldn't risk it as she looked around at the eager faces supporting her. Clara felt torn. Should she accept help from someone who had hurt her? In that moment, she faced a dilemma she hadn't anticipated. Was bringing her father into this battle a risk worth taking? "Please, Clara," the voice pleaded on the line. Could she really allow this broken connection a chance to heal? Clara's heart raced, knowing she was standing at a crossroad that could change everything. Clara stood in the tension of the moment, the phone pressed tightly to her ear, as her heart pounded like a drum. Every instinct screamed at her to hang up, to block out the voice that had hurt her so deeply. But she was also aware of the stakes. The sanctuary's future rested in the balance, and here was a potential lifeline. Do you even know what you're asking for? Clara's voice was steadier than she felt. You really think you can just waltz back in and fix everything? Silence stretched between them. Finally, her father spoke, each word weighted with sincerity. I know I can't change the past, but I am here now. I'm willing to do whatever it takes for you and the sanctuary. She glanced at the kids around her. Their faces flickered with hope and anxiety, reflecting her own turbulent emotions. They were counting on her to make the right decision, yet inside her, a storm raged. Clara, I've got connections to people who can help fight these men. If we work together, we can save your home, her father pleaded, desperation lacing his voice. Why now? Clara shot back, frustration boiling over. You could have helped years ago. Do you really expect me to believe you actually care? Another moment of silence passed. You're right. I wasn't there when I should have been, and I've regretted it every day since. I wish I could change that. His voice cracked slightly. But what matters is this moment. Let me prove I can be better. Clara's heart softened slightly at the raw honesty of his words, yet doubt remained like a dense fog clouding her thoughts. She thought of her childhood, the feelings of abandonment, the empty chair at family dinners, the haunting question of why. But she had changed, grown strong and resilient. Was it wise to let someone back into her life who could pull her apart so easily? I need time to think, Clara said, breaking the prolonged silence and hanging up before he could respond. The room was charged, an electric hum simmering as the kids waited, their eyes wide with anticipation. What did he say? Maya asked, concern in her eyes. Clara turned to the group, taking a deep breath. He wants to help. The chatter erupted, each child speaking over one another, some excited, others doubtful. Clara struggled to maintain focus beneath their buzz. I don't know if we can trust him, she admitted. But the last thing we need right now is division. Daniel stepped forward, his voice calm and steady. Trust is built through action, Clara. If he is serious, we can find a way to include him without losing our focus. The children nodded in agreement, a sense of unity already forming. They weren't just protecting a building, they were protecting a community, a family. Clara tried to find the same resolve, but her heart was still a battlefield. I'll reach out to him, Clara decided at last, the words spilling out before she could reconsider. But we remain vigilant. No blind trust. The kids cheered, their spirits lifting as they plotted their next meeting, each new idea sparking excitement and courage. Clara felt a flicker of hope return in the midst of turmoil. For the first time, it felt like they were moving towards something, yet as Clara shared plans with the group, a gnawing worry lingered. Could her father truly change, or was she inviting more chaos into their lives? The thought spiraled in her mind, threatening to darken her newfound hope. As the night fell, enveloping them in shadows, Clara found herself staring out the window at the sanctuary lights flickering like stars in the darkness. A battle lay ahead, both external and internal. She had to prepare for both. As daybreak approached, a knock on the door ripped through Clara's thoughts. Who could it be at this hour? When she opened it, the unexpected sight sent chills down her spine. Standing there were the men in suits, their faces obscured by a mix of shadows and intent. Clara, we need to talk, one said, his voice low and menacing. Her heart raced. What did they want now? And this time, there would be no backing down. The knock echoed in Clara's heart like a thunderclap. She stood frozen for a moment, mind racing, before stepping outside to confront the men in suits. Their imposing presence wrapped around her like a dark fog, suffocating her resolve. Speak your piece, Clara said, channeling courage she didn't quite feel. The lead man smirked, his eyes gleaming with condescension. You're stirring up quite the trouble, Clara. We're here to settle things once and for all. Maya stepped beside her, fierce and protective. You can't scare us away, she declared, eyes blazing with defiance. Clara felt a surge of pride in her daughter. Together, they could face anything. The lead man stepped closer, lowering his voice, dripping with threat. We can make this easy for you or very difficult. We suggest you comply with our demands and abandon this little sanctuary. Clara's heart thudded, but her spirit surged. This isn't yours to control. You can't silence us, she shot back. We are a community, and we won't back down. Behind her, Daniel stepped forward, confidently standing his ground. You threaten the wrong people. We won't fold to intimidation. The men exchanged glances, surprised but not dissuaded. They responded with arrogance that only deepened Clara's resolve. You think you've built a fortress here, one sneered, but we know where to hit you hard. We're not afraid. Maya yelled. We'll fight back. The men hesitated, and Clara saw an opening. You want to talk about who holds power here? Let us look at who you protect. You're just pawns for greed. The defiance ringing in her voice startled the men, echoing in the surrounding stillness. Enough of this, the lead man said, regaining his composure. Consider this your final warning. Don't say we didn't give you a chance. As they turned to leave, Clara felt a flicker of triumph, that spark of hope that sometimes flickers just before it ignites. They were not done yet. Clara knew they could rally their community and draw strength from their shared fight. Let us organize a family meeting, she said, gathering her resolve. We can't waste any time. We need everyone's support. That day, the sanctuary buzzed with tension and anticipation. Clara watched kids of all ages gather, their eyes filled with a combination of fear and determination, just like hers had felt not too long ago. They brought art supplies to make banners, sharing stories of how the sanctuary had changed each of their lives. It was a reminder of why they were fighting. Together, we represent a united front, Clara declared, moving around the room, making eye contact with every child. Everyone here has a voice, and we need to make sure it's heard. Cheers erupted from the group, hearts lifting against the stranglehold fear had tried to maintain. Clara felt that flicker of hope blossom again. She and her community were stronger than oppression. Days blurred into planning sessions, strategies, and heartening speeches, all connected by a growing sense of purpose. Clara felt the warmth of community intertwine with her resolve. The big day arrived. They gathered in front of the sanctuary, a mass of colorful faces and hearts beating as one. Together, they marched forward, banners raised high, proud, fearless. We are the sanctuary. They chanted, voices ringing through the air, powered by love and unity. Clara's heart surged with joy as laughter echoed, mixing with words of hope and resistance. Facing them were the very men who had once intimidated their sanctuary. Clara stood tall, shoulders squared, ready to defend the roots that had grown strong beneath her feet. You underestimated us, Clara called out, meeting their gazes with an unwavering spirit. We are not going anywhere. We stand united for justice and for each other. By the end of the rally, Clara felt transformed, a beacon of hope shimmering bright against the challenges that still lay ahead. She watched as the community bonded over shared purpose, the gleam of hope rekindled amidst the trials and tribulations. Life would never be simple, but Clara had learned to navigate the storm, to step forward, to confront her fears, to shield her loved ones while embracing the overwhelming power of community. In that moment, as she looked into Maya's eyes, Clara realized they had achieved something monumental. They had taken their stand, and through the warmth of solidarity, they fostered a future filled with promise. As murmurs and cheers filled the air, Clara felt tears of joy stream down her cheeks. Hope surged anew, empowering every heart surrounding her. Together, she whispered, summoning every ounce of fortitude. Together, we are limitless. And in that unity, Clara found her peace, her purpose, and the strength to keep fighting for their sanctuary and the dreams that shimmered just over the horizon, fueled by the undeniable truth that they were no longer alone. Now it's your turn. If you believe in the power of community and transformation, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these stories alive. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your thoughts matter. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. True fans know the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.